Welcome to Financial Issues, where we help you steward faithfully by honoring God with your investments. Now listen in as we give you the practical tools and advice you need to become a biblically responsible investor.
This is Financial Issues in 2026, where we help you defund darkness and fund the light by investing with biblical integrity. Hope you all had a blessed Christmas and a Happy New Year. We are live today, Seth Udinsky, Sam Case, and your host, Mark Manila. Mark, Happy New Year, brother. Good to be back.
Thank you. Happy New Year to both of you, and welcome everyone to Financial Issues. We're glad you're with us this day.
And not only is it the new year, but also it's a very important day for the ministry. Do you know what that is, Mark?
I have a hint, but go ahead.
Okay, well, today, Seth, correct me if I'm wrong, it's your 5-year anniversary of working at the ministry, right?
You guys are too kind. It is. Today's my 5-year birthday with the ministry. I was talking to the guys before we went on air, and I can remember the feeling 5 winters ago, coming off Christmas break. I was terrified, guys, absolutely terrified to come to this place, to work with that guy named Dan Celia, to be his producer, and to work with Sam and Ian and all those guys. And it's Mark, it has been such a blessing.
The hazing didn't help, right?
The hazing didn't. No, it was bad. No, we had a wonderful time, and obviously the Lord's taken us on a journey. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for that, and it's a real joy, just one of the great joys of my life, and I'm excited to go into 2026 with you boys. It's going to be fun.
Well, appreciate your humility, but the reality is that you held down the show. You were here the whole time, the last 5 years through both transitions. You were the producer. You've been on the leadership team. You're on the investment strategy team. You're on air. You're doing it all. When Sam hurt his back, you stepped in there. You seem to be able to carry the show no matter what. We are blessed. The bottom line is the ministry is blessed to have you.
He's FISM's Atlas. He's just holding it up, right?
You guys are too kind. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, guys. It's a joy to be able to be here. And it's a joy to have you all here as well, our live audience. It's great to be back. We missed you all these last couple weeks. Hope you had a great Christmas.
Absolutely.
Our phone lines are wide open, Mark. And the phone number is 610-363-1110. So if you want to call in, now's your chance to do it. Mark, I'm really excited on today's show. You have a little New Year's gift for us, the Christian Investor Starter Kit. I'm looking forward to that. It'll be in the next segment.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun time. But before we get to that, Mark and Sam, let's do a little bit of a market post-mortem here, shall we? So it's not really a post-mortem because the markets, it's not like they died. They actually did really well. Just a quick recap here, guys. So President Trump took office in January, sparking hope for a better economic future for the country. Almost right away, he begins issuing tariffs in an effort to make good on the promise to restore American greatness on the world stage. The tariffs kick off in April. We saw a dip there, but then from there on, the markets just really started to kick off. Throughout the year, the indices continued to hit all-time highs. There were dual emotions here, guys, of excitement as well as fear over market valuation. All the while, meanwhile, the Federal Reserve gradually cut rates, trimming 25 basis points in each of its last 3 meetings of the year. Trump obviously sparring publicly and privately with Fed Chair Powell, whose term will come to an end in a few months. Final numbers for the year, guys, were very strong. The Dow Jones finished up 13%. The S&P 500 was up 16% for its third straight winning year, and the NASDAQ up 20%. Obviously, all 3 major indices hitting record highs. Mark, give us your takeaways from this past year as it pertains to the markets and the economy. What do you make of it all?
Wow. In the
10
next
words
2
or
minutes,
less.
right?
That's right. Yeah, you have 10 seconds. No.
Yeah, it is pretty incredible to think about what's happened in the last year. But let's focus on the markets. Like you said, the S&P was up 16.39%, NASDAQ up 20.36%, Dow Jones up 12.97%, the Russell up 11.26%, and the international MSCI was up 33%. Think about that. That's some good returns for the year in general across the board. We saw a good market, but it wasn't an easy market, as most of us realize. There were several times in this last year, where we just said it's time to start hoarding a little bit of cash for a little bit because we didn't know where the markets are going with the overvaluation. But I thought it'd be fun, Seth, Sam, if we took a look at maybe the top 3 winners and the top 3 losers from last year. If we look at that, we see that SanDisk, SNDK, was up 559%.
559?
Let that sink in.
What?
Western Digital was up 282%, and Micron was up 239%. That's the top three winners for last year. And the top three losers, luckily the downside wasn't as bad as the upside. The top three losers was Trade Desk, TTD, negative 67. A real estate fund, ARE, was down 50%, and Decker Outdoor down 49%. So what we saw was a whole lot more upside on the extremes. We saw that bell curve really messed up and moved to the upside. So that was pretty interesting to me.
And all of them, of course, are tech companies, right? On the upside.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. And that's something I'd like to talk about a little bit here in a second about what to look forward to. But I also would like to talk about something else we saw. Usually within a year, you see sector leadership move quite a lot. And this year, we didn't really see a lot of major movement. We started the year with communication services, technologies, and financials actually leading coming into 2025. When we left 2025 and stepped into 2026, we ended up with communication services, technology, and industrials. Industrials took over the financials. That's not a really big move because most of 2025 industrials and financials were right in line with each other. One was industrials was just a little bit behind, but slowly by the end of the year, they took over. In most years, what we'll see is quite a few changes in the sector rotations, and we didn't see that this year because technology, communication services, that were so powerful. And we're seeing more and more of that, which is interesting as we see that technology and communications, actually, those stocks are growing so big, they're overweighting everything. And that's really cool, and it's really scary at the same time. Another change we saw was PE ratios, the valuations of the market. In general, the U.S. market in 2025, going into 2025, was at 21.5 PE, price to earnings. And then in 2026, it rose up to 23.1. Now, what this is telling us is that the markets are even more overvalued than they were at the beginning of 2025. That should be a concern, and we'll talk about that maybe today, tomorrow, whenever we have the time. So I just wanted to bring that up. And if we look at this, we can look at over the long term here. Historically, we have different numbers than what we had in the past. As you can see, we are actually higher today than we were for the 10-year average or the historical average. All that tells us is, I know it's not like Newton's laws or anything, but when you get that far outside the norm, what happens is either the norm adapts and comes up, or the valuation has to come down. So we have to be watching for that this year. This could be the year where we start normalizing those valuations, and some of these companies are maturing, so that they'll start normalizing as well. And that would be a good thing, but they're still really high. So just like we've always talked about, the higher the valuations, the bigger the impact of a downturn could be on our portfolio. So we got to be very careful, be awake, aware, conscious of what's really going on moving in the future. I got another little statistic I think that we might like. Worst media predictions for 2025. You want to hear them?
Yes.
The tariffs would end the world and turn the moon to blood.
Well, outside of that, yeah. Peter Berezin, I'm not sure who this is. He's an analyst, but he predicted a 26% S&P decline. Peter, you missed the mark on that one. Steve Hanke predicted an early 2025 recession. No recession occurred, although some people would argue that it did. Finally, the one that gets me the most is Morgan Stanley Investment Management predicted single-digit S&P year. So those are the worst media predictions. Every year we see these kind of predictions. And Seth, you know my thoughts on predictions, right?
Yeah, they're generally not a good idea because we're not God, right?
Exactly. And because somebody like financial issues or other people will look up what you said at the beginning of the year and show it to you.
So watch out.
Yeah. On another level, what's really cool is I looked up the Timothy Plan returns. A good year for some of the Timothy Plan ETFs. The TPIF, the International Fund, was up 34.33%. I know, Sam, that you're a big fan of that fund. Timothy Plan.
Well, why wouldn't I be looking at those numbers, right?
Sam's loving life. That's right.
Yeah, TPHD was up 8.28, and TP Small Cap was up 7.34. So good, solid returns for the Timothy Plan, and 7.08 for the Timothy Plan long large cap. So we see that there's a lot of good things that happened last year, and there's a lot of good things that might be happening for 2026. We didn't get there, but maybe we can take a little time when we come back from this break to discuss maybe a little bit of outlook for 2026 before we talk about the Christian Investor's Guide.
Every day, kids all across America are coming to school with some kind of hidden pain.
I've seen kids come in who are just so confused about what's right and what's wrong, just having no idea that God loves them. And this just breaks my heart. Crossroads has the opportunity to bring the Word of God right into the public school, to reach children right where they are.
And when we see that happen, we see God changing lives.
We want to see kids not only come to Christ, but pursue a lifelong relationship with Him. And so local churches are uniquely positioned to disciple those children as they become young adults and through their lifespan.
Crossroads comes alongside a church and provides that church with a club structure, curriculum, training, and ongoing coaching for them to run these outreaches in public schools.
If you are burdened for the children of America, consider making a donation to Crossroads Kids Club. For more information, visit reachOurschools.com. That's reachOurschools.com.
Bring back free speech to America.
Zuckerberg drops a bombshell, reversing Meta's content moderation policies.
I started building social media to give people a voice. It's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram.
Times are changing, and it's the everyday American who is pushing the changes.
People have had enough of what these companies are doing.
Money talks, so why not have it represent your values? Get started at financialissues.org.
I found out I was pregnant when I was 21 years old. For me, I was scared, I was shaking. They do an ultrasound, and that's when everything changed. When I saw my baby, and when I heard her heartbeat, that was it. We've seen the hand of God ever since we stepped into the pregnancy center.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
610-363-1110. Hey, folks, listen, it is after Christmas. However, if you're following the liturgical calendar, it is still the Christmas season. So we wanted to give you the gift of those Christmas bumps one more time here before we officially put Christmas holiday into the rearview mirror.
I'm a big believer in the 12 days of Christmas. Christmas shouldn't just be one day.
Absolutely. It's too big of a holiday for that. So a merry late Christmas to you all. And again, a happy new year. Mark, we've got our phone lines open here, 610-363-1110. Folks, give us a call. We'd love to hear from you if you've got questions as we head into 2026. Speaking of that very topic, Mark, do you have anything that we should be keeping on our radar as we enter now 2026? It should be noted, we had a pretty good day to start the year of 2026. It was a little bit mixed, but the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 both finished positive. The NASDAQ was right at the flat line to start the year. So at least from one day, the markets seem to be feeling somewhat positive. Mark, what should we be keeping our eyes on as we enter this new year?
Yeah, there's a lot to keep our eyes on. As we've talked about in the past, when valuations are high, the impact of decisions are so much stronger because when something falls, it can fall real hard. Luckily, what we've seen is that a slow pull down of the technology in the last quarter, from the last quarter. We're seeing some of those giant, enormous corporations that have dominated in 2025 slowing down and or backing off on their valuations as we saw the markets pull them down as people are locking in a lot of their goals. One of the things that I think we really need to be watching in 2026 is exuberance. We've seen this before. It seems like, this is different now. You've heard that, right? God is not different. He's the same. The rules he's made for the markets, for money, for everything, they're all the same. And what happens is when things get out of whack, they will correct themselves eventually. So we have to be very careful. 2026 will likely reward those who remember this one single truth. We don't control the outcomes. What we do is we steward resources faithfully and trust God with the results, with the outcome. We need to be awake, aware, conscious, and managing our portfolios through this year, because there's going to be a lot of influences on the market this year like we've never seen before. And we need to be able to adjust with them and stay well diversified so that we don't end up getting too over invested in one little thing that either goes dirty or goes down or does both, so that's really going to be important. I think also that we need to think about a couple of things here. One is we don't move forward in fear. We got to stay focused on the Lord. I know everybody's looking for some technical insight into the markets, but as you know, I don't predict the future. I do not try to, but what I do is I realize we can measure risk. Risk is high. It's high now, and it's going to continue to high. One of the good things is we saw the markets, and we are seeing the markets move away a little bit from those giant mega caps and those things, and start spreading it out into other areas within our portfolios. By being diversified, we're already there to take that new money coming in, forcing those asset classes and those sectors up. So that's a really good thing. We really should be watching earnings and expectations as some of these companies mature, as some of those that haven't even had earnings in the past become getting earnings. Those are going to grow quite well, I believe. We also need to watch what happens with government impact on everything. So we got a lot of things to be looking out for, bottom line. But the main thing to look out for is ourselves. We need to look out where our head and our heart stay. We need to stay focused on the sovereignty of God over the markets so that we have our peace that surpasses all understanding as we go into this new year. And we don't get ahead of ourselves, and we don't fall into the earthly wise as a serpent perspective of things and believe that we have control or ideas or understand where everything's going to go. That we trust God that no matter where it goes. That's the bottom line. If we don't do that, we're just like the rest of the world.
Well said, Mark. Folks, now is a really good time if you're a new listener out there to become a partner. As you're starting that new year, I'm sure you probably have some financial goals that you'd like to hit. Financial Issues is here for you. We'd love to be able to help you out, to be well diversified, just like Mark was just talking about there. And to our new partners, I know many of you were gifted partnerships over the Christmas holiday. Welcome to you. We're grateful to have you for sure. Hey, Mark, let's switch gears here and move to the Christian Investor Starter Kit. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. What should we be expecting for this?
Well, this is something we talked about from the very beginning, and I'm glad we're starting to work on this. What we're going to do is present a series of educational segments here to help everybody who is listening become the best steward possible with their investments. We're going to talk about the very basics of stewardship. Then we're going to go into how, the Matthew, the verse that I like to use is in Matthew, and it talks about being wise as a serpent, gentle as a dove. To me, there's two different things there. That's Matthew 10:16, by the way. There's two different things there. One is wise as a serpent means the wisdom of the world or the knowledge of the world. We need that. That's how things work in the markets. That's how banks work, Wall Street works, stocks work, all the metrics, all the things we use. Those are the foundations of analyzing stocks, analyzing markets, doing that kind of stuff. But if we just are analytical, if we're just using worldly wisdom, we're liable to hurt someone. We're liable to cause some others harm. And we don't want to do that because it doesn't take in the heart of it. God calls us to be gentle as a dove as well. And that means applying all the wisdom, not only godly wisdom, but worldly wisdom in a way that honors others and doesn't use and abuse them. So we're going to cover both sides of it, the biblical perspective of investing with biblical integrity, and then how to use some of these metrics, how to look at things. A lot of questions we had last year dealt with PEs and debt to equity and how we look at stocks. How do we analyze stocks? So we're going to talk about those things as well. In fact, I have a small list here that we could go through if you'd like. Some of the money as worship, peace versus performance, investing in the froth of the blessings, faithful without guarantees, capital is not neutral. That's really important. We're going to drill that in. Capital is not neutral. A lot of people think that if they don't make a decision, they're being neutral. We're going to talk about that in depth. Corporation as cultural architects. I think a lot of our listeners understand that. We're going to dig into ESG and DEI. We're going to talk about the scale problem, dealing with worldly investments, secular investments compared to biblically responsible investment. We're going to discuss risk, what it is and how you measure it and how you talk about it, volatility, time, patience, valuations and evaluations and the disciplines thereof, screening. We're going to talk about life stage and stewardship, asset allocation, understanding the role of models and understanding faithful reallocation and why the importance of that, and so much more. I know I just said a mouthful there, so I'm going to give you a second to think about that. And we're going to do this. I think we're going to do it on a daily basis, aren't we, Seth?
I believe so, Mark. Yep, absolutely.
So we'll take one topic at a time. And just because I didn't say something in this doesn't mean we're not going to cover it, because we're going to cover as much as we can. And in doing so, we're hoping to make you the better investor. We're hoping to make you have a lot more peace in your investments because of the knowledge you'll have in them. For example, we get questions about debt. We get questions about corporate structures. We get questions about even BRI still from a lot of our listeners about how, I think we try to address these every day, but here's going to be a systematic way to address these. And then, Seth, what's really good, when we're done with this, we're going to have a workbook put together that our listeners could get, a workbook that goes through all these topics and has them all listed out. They'll be on the site. We're also going to do a video series where you could actually just for anybody who is a partner, they can go into this and go through the educational process one step at a time at your own pace and learn all these different things. And part of what we're going to do in it, for the partners, there's going to be special videos on how to use the Partner Hub and how to begin investing, the actual physical steps on how to do that, how to decide which accounts that you should open first or in what order you should, and how to evaluate what order you should be opening accounts and funding them. And it's going to be a lot of fun for one, and it's going to be a lot of information, but we're going to take our time. Our goal is not to get through this. Our goal is to make it very clear, concise, and easy for everybody to take another step forward in honoring God with all they do, especially their investments.
Folks, that's why we're here. Ultimately, we want to help you be biblically responsible. We want to help you honor God with your money. But I think above all that, Mark, we just want to help you. We want to be here to help you. We want to educate you. We want to be here as a guide to come alongside you as you try to honor God with the money that he's given you. Mark, we've said this so many times. Your money is a tool. It's a neutral medium. It can be used for tremendous evil, and it can also be used for great good. And we want to help you use it for good. And that means growing it. It means deploying it, all that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. Christian investing doesn't mean you're supposed to be blind and just go into it and trust God. It's not reckless, nor is it naive. You should have as much knowledge as possible. And we try to provide a lot of that information for you, but once you understand it, it makes it easier to understand why something's on a buy list or why something's on a hold list or why something's on a sell list. It doesn't, our goal isn't for anybody to worry more about things, but to understand them more. I find that in James chapter 3, 14 through 17, when he talks about wisdom from above and wisdom of the world, we find that the secular wisdom, what it says is this wisdom does not descend from above, but is greedy and I can't remember the exact words, about self-seeking and prideful. And where there is pride and self-seeking, there is confusion in every evil thing. Well, we want you to know that oftentimes confusion also comes from lack of knowledge. So we want you to have that knowledge so you know that that's not what's causing the confusion. If there's confusion in your portfolio and you have the knowledge of the things that you're utilizing and doing, then you can move forward by realizing that maybe you're being prideful or maybe there's greed in this and I need to step back and get back to the peace of God first before I make a decision on this next move for my portfolio. We want to equip you with everything you need to make the best decisions and to walk in peace. They have that sleep factor when the markets are calm or when they're crazy. And in doing so, we've met what we believe we're here for. It's to help you grow closer to Christ and realize the full joy and intimacy of our Savior by investing with biblical integrity.
As a member of Samaritan Ministries, your monthly share is a gift that goes directly to a real person in need. While that share takes care of the financial portion of a need, medical needs are complex and include the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects as well. While the financial gift is important, if we stop there, we miss an opportunity to minister to the whole need of our brother or sister. When you faithfully pray and send a note of encouragement and scripture along with your share, those words become a vessel of God's continued healing and blessing on the receiver. And the impact it has is immeasurable, bringing glory to God and provision and unity to His church. Glorify God with your health care. Send a note this month.
My baby was like this big. He was like this tiny little spectrum of hope and this unnamed beauty, in a sense. It was poetic. And I saw his heart beating on the screen. And I mean, I went from, I don't want this baby, it's just a fetus, it's just cells put together, to talking to my child on the screen and feeling really protective and knowing that there's life growing inside. I mean, that sonogram changed my life. I went from just Candace to mom. I'm a mom.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
Before investing.
610-363-1110. Folks, give us a call. I know you might be a little sleepy from the Christmas and New Year's holiday, getting back into the swing of things, but our phone lines are open. They'll be open for the next half hour, so make sure to call in right now. It's 610-363-1110. Again, the phone number is 610-363-1110. All right, guys, so the 47th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, who is now entering the first year of his second term, gifted himself a Christmas present over the weekend. Sam, what was going on there? What was the
of
gift?
communist dictator Nicolas Maduro. You should have slapped a bow on him, right?
Seriously.
I still cannot. How long did that operation take? 15 minutes, 30 minutes?
Crazy.
It's truly amazing.
I think it took like 3 months, actually.
Well, yes, the planning stages and everything. I'd love them to make a movie about it. It'd be amazing.
Seriously.
Oh, there'll be a movie.
Yeah. Mark, what do you make of this? Because I know we're seeing, obviously, there's a lot of connections here with Venezuelan oil, possible connection to energy companies. What do you make of all of this, especially as it pertains to our money?
Well, and just so you know, it's now estimated that the U.S. basically is in charge of all that oil. It's 300 billion barrels of estimated reserves. That's 20% of the global supply, quadruple of the U.S. reserves right now.
It's a lot of information, gentlemen. I got to tell you, with all the gaslighting that's been going on for the last 4 years and during the Obama years and all this kind of stuff, it's really been hard to discern all this. You know, we don't want to be nation building, as you know what the theme has been for a long time, even back to just post Reagan. You know, there's a lot of craziness going on, but the reality is. That whole nations now, just like we see corporations worth $1 trillion, we're seeing countries that are become where gangs have taken over countries, smaller countries. We're seeing the scale and the scope of things grow so large, both for evil and hopefully for good. So it's very hard to deal with these things. But the reality is, if we want to see our nation maintain its status under God, if we want to see the Christian survival in the world, it is up to us to make sure that the world does not get so corrupt, especially in our hemisphere, that we don't have any power to change it. Granted, it's not our power, it's God, but it really scares me in many ways. We are setting ourselves up for a lot of rebellion, for assassinations, for attacks on our country, attacks on other smaller countries, as those who are evil flee the areas where Trump cleans them up and they go elsewhere and take over smaller companies and oppress more Christians and stuff. So there's a whole lot in there, and all that mixed up, it makes me glad that I'm a believer and I know God's in charge, not just Trump, not just Maduro or anybody else. But the man obviously was a bad man from the beginning. I remember when the elections occurred way back then, that he just took it over, even though the elections were totally rigged and everybody saw it. And, you know, they just tossed out all the voting and everything.
70% of the people voted against him in the last election. Right. And he said, I don't think so. I think I'm still in charge.
Yeah. Wow. And he's just a thug and a dictator. And a narco, you know, the guy has been turning his country into nothing more than a den of thieves and evil people, and partnering with China and Russia on that, and Cuba. So something had to be done. It's the bottom line. Eventually something had to be done. Trump seems to have the state of mind that he doesn't care how this will go down in history. He knew something had to be done. So I'm glad to see that. We have to worry about Trump, him surviving all this, because the whole world is coming after, the evil of the world is coming after him now. I'm surprised we haven't seen more ugliness occur towards him. And you know, although we all may be praying for his safety, we also need to pray that he stays focused, because with all the evil that is oppressing and coming against him and his family and stuff, you never know if he could break and go crazy, you know, if something happens to someone in his family, or the powers of the evil come against him in a way that we can't even understand. So we need to be in prayer. We need to stay focused on the Lord. This Maduro thing is just the beginning, I think, of what is to come.
Well, and you know, Mark, it's a good reminder that less than 2 years ago, we almost saw Donald Trump lose his life on national television, and then you know, there was another assassination attempt a little while later.
Then we saw Kirk.
He does, yeah, and then of course everything that happened with Charlie Kirk too. This is a guy who has to have some level of toughness. But I'm really glad you said that, Mark, because we tend to forget. Sooner or later, I mean, no human being is God. Jesus Christ is the one God and Savior that we have. Eventually, we crack under that kind of pressure. So I agree with you. We need to pray for our president that the Lord would give him a divine sense of strength. Yeah.
Yes, strength, faith, and strength. Yeah. We need him to grow in his faith.
Yeah.
And understand the truth of who Jesus is if he doesn't already know. I believe he does. I believe he's accepted Jesus Christ as a Savior from those close to him that I've actually heard give testimony on him. I haven't heard his testimony, but he needs the faith of he needs to mature. He needs the meat of the Bible. He needs to grow in that so that he can stand firm in the midst of all this, not on his own, but on the strength of God.
Yeah. Well, speaking of which, guys, we had a comment that came in about a week or so ago. This is Keith. He actually has a question with this as well, but I'll read his comment first because it comes right off what we were just talking about. Keith is 78. He says, by the way, I just bought gas in Texas about 2 weeks ago or so for $2.08 a gallon. Tell Seth it's time to move. Keith, I hear you, brother. Keith says we need more right of center people moving to Texas to offset the more far left moving here. Keith, amen to that, brother.
Yeah.
For sure. Boy, $2.08 a gallon. That sounds glorious. We have gone under $3 a gallon in Pennsylvania, at least where we are here, which is nice. I think the state as a whole might still be right at that $3 mark. But Mark, Keith's question here, he says, a friend approached me seeking information regarding this stock. It's GTBP. He said, I tried to find the BRI tool. I was not successful. It's a pharmaceutical company. Would you please check this out for me? I've introduced this friend to FISM. That's awesome, Keith.
Well, that's interesting. Thank you for introducing him. And GTBP, it's hard to find information on it because it's an extremely small company. It's in an early stage. It's called a clinical stage for a biotech company. And they don't have any consistent operating revenue at this point, which means that they're still developing patents. They're still developing products and going through all that needs to go through to get the patents on them and to get them to the market. So BRI screening, although it screens clean at this time, we're not sure where it will end up going once it starts seeing profits. We don't know what these biotech people, what their state of mind is, their beliefs that are running this company, the executives or whatnot. But at this point, it's clean. Let's just go there. It's clean at this point, which is the first hurdle for investing in a company for people like you and me, Keith. The second hurdle is that this company doesn't have any revenues yet. We don't know if they'll make it through the FDA. We don't know if any of their products will get to market. We don't know if they'll have to continuously raise more and more money to support them. I've known companies that did this for 10, 15 years and then went out of business, just constantly raising money. In fact, just in the past year, they've diluted the shares 376%. That's a lot of dilution, meaning they've issued more and more shares to support themselves. So the cash runway here for them is less than 1 year of cash, making future capital raises important. That's hard for me to jump into. Now, to me, that's not an investment or a solid investment or a growth investment. This is more of a speculation. And if you've heard me talk, I have no problem with speculation as seasoning on a portfolio, but this should be a small part of a growth portfolio, not a larger part of anybody's portfolio. It's more because this leans more towards gambling than it does investing. You may believe in this company, you may know something about them, but at this point, they have not proved themselves either from a management or a financial perspective to be an investment worthy of steady dollars. It could be a speculation. Maybe you know what they're working on in the biotech. Maybe you believe it's going to be clean once they get certain products to the market. Maybe you believe it's going to be one of the major cures of the world. But that's all speculation, especially since there's no revenues or no consistent revenues. And if you buy into it now, your stock is going to be diluted by them selling more and more. The possibility is very strong there. So Keith, I really appreciate your insights or your question on this, because it does bring up the concept of spec stocks, which I think we need to talk more often about, because there is so much great technology coming in. We need to be looking at this, but how to decide which spec stocks to invest in is something maybe we'll take up in the investor's guide as we start that tomorrow.
That's awesome. Appreciate that so much, Mark. Keith, appreciate your question. Folks, still got time to get in the call queue. Of course, we got a lot of questions to get to as well at 610-363-1110. Great to be back here with you folks live this morning on the first Monday of the new year. Again, give us a call if you've got questions for us, 610-363-1110. We'll be right back.
I heard about Jesus in my public school, and my life changed.
For over 25 years, God has used Crossroads Kids Club to bring the gospel right to where children are, inside public schools.
Will you help us share Jesus with kids in public schools? I want more kids to have the same chance that I had.
Would you help reach more children by making a gift to Crossroads today?
Help reach kids with the hope of the gospel. Visit reachOurSchools.com.
As a member of Samaritan Ministries, your monthly share is a gift that goes directly to a real person in need. While that share takes care of the financial portion of a need, medical needs are complex and include the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual aspects as well. While the financial gift is important, if we stop there, we miss an opportunity to minister to the whole need of our brother or sister. When you faithfully pray and send a note of encouragement and scripture along with your share, those words become a vessel of God's continued healing and blessing on the receiver. And the impact it has is immeasurable, bringing glory to God and provision and unity to His church. Glorify God with your health care. Send a note this month.
I found out I was pregnant when I was 21 years old. For me, I was scared, I was shaking. They do an ultrasound. And that's when everything changed. When I saw my baby and when I heard her heartbeat, that was it. We've seen the hand of God ever since we stepped into the pregnancy center.
To find out how you can support the life-saving mission of Preborn, go to preborn.com/FISM.
The opinions and recommendations expressed on this program do not necessarily represent the opinions of the station or any of the program sponsors. Additionally, all products or services offered by the program sponsors may not be known by the program.
Well, guys, quickly here at 610-363-1110, not to be outdone by his fellow philanthropist, Nicolás Maduro, Tim Walz will not be seeking re-election as the governor of Minnesota.
And the big news is that Maduro is taking his place, right, Seth?
Right, yeah, that's what we've been told. There will be a slight uptick in moral quality there. No, yeah, it seems like he has the good graces to bow out, guys, definitely.
Yeah.
So... Yeah. 610-363-1110. We got a lot of questions here, Mark. Why don't we get to one of these here from Joe? Joe is saying, I have a position that's down in my individual investment account, and I plan on selling it to offset some gains. It's also on the buy list. So my question is, do I have to wait the 30 days to buy it back if I use a different account to buy them? For example, if I sell from my Roth but then buy in the HSA account or something like that, Mark. What do you think?
Well, you wouldn't get any gains or relief selling from a Roth anyway, because there's no capital gains or losses in a Roth or a traditional IRA. But if you're selling it from your individual account, you still can't buy it within 30 days in any account that you have. So no, you can't do that. They see that and they say, nope, you don't get to count these capital losses against anything. You can't even put it into your child's account or your wife's account for 30 days and still try to claim that a loss. So the government thought through these things, as messed up as our Congress is, and they are really messed up, as we can see from the last year, Trump having to sign everything and do it himself instead of Congress make the laws and codify them in stone that we need to happen. they're sitting on their hands, and they have plenty of time to debate little things like how to make sure you don't get away with something on your IRAs or your capital gains. So no, you can't do that, unfortunately.
Yep. Next one here, Mark, is Brock.
God bless you, though, for your question.
Yeah, that's good, Joe. Appreciate you, brother. Brock is 50. Brock is a real good question here, Mark. I'd love to hear your thoughts. He says, Mark, I've had a significant one-time increase in annual income due to stock sales. In order to help my tax situation, is there anything wrong with giving my anticipated next 3 to 6 months of tithes to my church in one fell swoop to help on my taxes? My church's fiscal year runs from July 2025 to June 26, so he's right in the middle of it now, Mark. The income for my church would be the same whether I give on a systematic basis or in a lump sum. What should I do?
Yeah, I love it. You're thinking ahead. Hopefully this was a question from December and you went ahead and did it, because it doesn't matter what your church's fiscal season is for the deduction. It has to be done in the year that you want to deduct it for. So if you had a lot of gains last year in 2025, you would have had to have donated those stocks during 2025. If you haven't, it's okay to do it in 2026 as well. By the way, this is a very good strategy. I agree with it. I think you're thinking ahead, and it's one of those mic drop type of things. Boom, yeah, that's a great way to do it. I've always said that if you have the money, and it's biblical. I can't remember the verse, the chapter and verse, but God tells us that, I believe it's in Proverbs, like Proverbs 4 or 3, but I'm not sure. But it says, if you have the ability to do good, to do it and not wait. Don't tell somebody that you'll come back tomorrow and take care of it if you have it today. So why not do it all a lump sum at once and do that for the year or for a portion of the year? That's a good idea.
Mark, that's a verse that Megan and I have tried to harp on our kids. Do not withhold good from one another when it's in your power to do so.
Right,
and that's so important. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, so in doing good, if you did it last year, you'll also do good for yourself by having that go against the gains.
Awesome. 610-363-1110. Mark, we got time to get to a call here. Let's get to Menda. Menda's calling from Georgia.
Hi, Menda. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mark. I'm excited and looking forward to. I can tell your wisdom is definitely from above, and Seth as well. Y'all are so precious to me.
Wow. Thanks, Menda.
Such a bright light in our lives. Well,
give God the glory.
Yes, always. I'm calling about the bulk of my all of my cash, the bulk of it, in my brokerage, not outside of it, but in my brokerage, is a federal money market fund, which invests at least 99.5% of their total assets in cash, U.S. government securities, and or repurchase agreement that are collateralized by the U.S. government or by cash. And I'm a little concerned about that because of our debt, and I'm wondering if I should move it out of the federal money market fund into their Vanguard's regular money market fund. They made it look, attractive when they opened it.
Yeah.
But should I be concerned about that?
Well, Menda, I appreciate that. The debt is one of my biggest concerns for our government. And yet it's not imminent. So I would say safety-wise, it's probably one of the safest places you could be at this time from a safety perspective.
Okay.
Any other money market is backed by the government as well, by the way. So, the taxing authority of our government. So, yeah. But I can see where our debt could easily overtake us. But I also see that we do have a president and an administration that is working hard to change that. Now, some people say, but the debt has increased under Trump. It has. But that's the J-curve effect. He has to do things to get to the point to where he can do things. I don't know if that makes sense, but you have to spend the money to find all the fraud and all the stealing going on. Once you find that reduces, I believe it could reduce the debt 50%, just the fraud and and the craziness going on in the government, the washing of money going into all sorts of political campaigns by going overseas, going into NGOs, and then being washed back pennies on the dollars to these organizations and individuals. Once they clean up a lot of that, we could see the debt reduce dramatically. And then putting things in place like Doge being in place to oversee these organizations, these government cabinets, and all these different things that were set up. So it may take a little time, but I believe we're headed in a better direction. So bottom line, Minda, is if it's safety you're worried about, there's still no safer place than in the United States in government debt at this point. And that's what money markets are. You're lending money to a bank or to the government. And if you're lending it to the bank, you're lending to the government because they're backing it effectively. You know, the bank, you're lending it to the bank to reloan out to a lot of different things. And a lot of the money they use goes into government bonds and stuff as well. So you're okay there. You're okay there. Unfortunately, I don't like the idea that our government has been using the money we lend them to capitalize ugly things along with all the great things they do. Unfortunately, we have no options. Money is of the government. Jesus did not shy away from what was Caesar's, but he just said, pay unto Caesar what is his. He walked the Roman roads. He lived in this world. He didn't have alternatives, so he used what was here to bring the gospel, to bring the truth to as many people as he could. We should do the same thing. When we don't have an alternative, we still have to eat. We still have to get clothing. We still have to get housing. We still have to drive the roads that are built by the government. We still have to honor the police and the officials that God has put in place. So when we don't have an option, we use what God has allowed here. When we do have an option, we move it elsewhere.
Thank you. You gave me peace of mind on that, Mark. I really appreciate your detailed answer.
Well, we appreciate you being with us, and do give God the glory, because I know Seth, and I know Sam, and I know myself, and without God, we would be useless to you.
Yeah. Be a whole lot of nothing, Menda, a lot of gibberish, or gobbledygook, as we say on the show. Right?
Gobbledygook, yeah.
Thanks, Menda.
God
You're
bless
blessing us. It's awesome. Well, good stuff, Mark. Boy, I'd love to I think we could maybe squeeze in a final question here before the end of the show, Mark. Sure. Gary is asking, how is Truth Social's ETF stacking up to being biblically responsible?
Well, you know, so far, I'm just surprised, first of all, Gary, that you even know about this.
Yeah.
Truth Social ETF. They just launched them at the end of December, I think December 30th. So those were just launched. So how do you know about them already?
I learned about it this morning. This question alerted me to this.
So, I mean, I find that wonderful that we have such astute partners and whatnot. But also, at this point, they're really not screening that clean or that dirty. They're peppered with ugliness as far as we can tell, but nothing for certain because the research isn't deep enough or wide enough. We're going to find out more for you on this. Right now, I would stay away from them and treat them as dirty because there are some things in them that we don't, are supposedly things in them, are going to be in them. You know, they're so new, we haven't been able to evaluate them properly. We have to use sources of evaluation that we don't put a lot of faith in how they screen them. So at this point, though, those secondhand companies that do it, they're showing a little dirty in them, but we'll see. I would suggest that you call them or write them or email them and say, hey, use the evaluator services on your screening so we can get in. We're 5,000 or 7,000 strong here, and you want our money and we want to put it in there, but we can't without you doing what we do, and that's invest with biblical integrity. And I thank you for that question. I thank you for your love for the Lord, and I thank you for investing with biblical integrity. I look forward to seeing you all tomorrow. God bless everyone. Thank you for being with us at the beginning of the year here. Happy New Year's, Merry Christmas, and let's have a great year together.
If we ever forget that we're one nation under God, then we will be a nation gone under.
Thank you for joining us. This has been an FISM production.